So the FTX hacker has been dumping Ethereum for the entire weekend. And as you can see, a lot of on the crypto bubbles chart at least, prices have come down quite aggressively. There has been a rather strong pullback. And today we're going to go over the good, the bad, and the ugly because there is a case for both the bulls and the bears. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. And I want to start off over here with the tweet. The FTX hacker just dumped another 60 million of ETH and is buying Bitcoin with that ETH, funny enough. So we'll keep a close eye on this. Good Govern says over here, the FTX hacker is still one of the largest ETH holders. He still owns, even despite him having sold over 200,000 Ethereum, which is worth over $230 million. And you can imagine the sell pressure of $230 million on the market if he does continue to dump this into the market. And it's an unfolding story. There's so much more that's coming out with FTX and Genesis and this entire group that are all interconnected. Run will cover it in more detail on today's show. So I do recommend keeping an eye out on that. And he does say over here, hearing not much interest to invest in Genesis or DCG so far. Apparently, next step is to potentially start selling individual assets. Here is a breakdown of their assets. Big week ahead. I'm not going to go through the whole list over there. If you do click on the link that he has, if you go to his profile, you'll see there's a whole conglomerate of different crypto-related companies that are intertwined in this whole thing. And DCG is definitely one of the biggest in the space. They were meant to have raised $1 billion by today. Let's see if they've done it. No news has come out. They haven't said a single thing regarding it, which is what I assume Run will cover on his show later on today. So stay tuned, watch his show. Hopefully by then we have more concrete information on the open of the stock market, whether they did or didn't actually raise the money. And I would anticipate that would be the next catalyst for whatever the next move is going to be. And I'm going to give you both the bullish and the bearish case in today's show. So Daniel Chong says here, at this point, I've seen enough from DCG that you just have to materially account for a zero. And he says, yeah, there's a removal of bios from the web page, which I can verify. If you went to their website, they literally removed the bios. Senior management hiding updates or news from employees. No proof of reserves for Grayscale. So Grayscale basically said that it's a security risk for them to sign a transaction and prove that they have the Bitcoin that they say they do, which is a little bit of a no pun intended, a gray area for Grayscale. So definitely something to keep an eye on. And then involvement with the 3AC capital scheme and inability to raise funds, which we're still waiting for. Let's see what happens on that today. So all in all, though, definitely still speculation, but so far it's not looking good. It is looking like they are at risk. So we need to pay attention to that. And Alex Thorne says, yeah, FTX bankruptcy filing shows that the top 50 unsecured creditors, exchange customers, have between $21 million, which is position number 50. They're the least affected, and up to $226 million, which is the number one affected in funds stuck on the exchange. Lots of speculation about who the parties or entities are. But at the end of the day, this is a lot of money that could have a cascading effect for those because most of the time, this money was sadly raised through retail. And retail are always the ones that suffer the worst off, which is a real unfortunate thing. Going into price action, Bitcoin with the Heikin-Nashi candles over here continue to stay red, and we are looking at this primary liquidity zone. This is the golden area where I want to see price come into, and it just requires a little bit of patience. So if you want to make a whole lot of money, then you need to learn how to exercise patience. If you don't know how to exercise patience, I suggest you go buy yourself one of those little ships in a bottle. Start practicing how to build one of those. There's nothing that can test your patience like that. And just wait. Be patient. This area likely gets hit eventually. In the short term, though, there could be some cases for bullish momentum. Weekly chart with the Bollinger Bands and all the moving averages. As you can see, everything's still continuing to hang under the important moving averages. Prices below that. Moving averages are angled down. The real ones to watch is still the 200 moving average. Already the 200 exponential moving average has started to roll over, which is not a good sign for the long term. But the purple one is the one that I would keep the most focus on. If price continues to remain here like this for probably another 2 to 3 months underneath this, I would anticipate that would be enough to start to roll the 200 moving average over. And that you don't want to see as a long-term investor in these assets. So continue to remain patient is the name of the game. Okay, the volatility indicator over here. I am trying to keep a close eye on this to see if, let me just quickly see if we can zoom in a little bit over here. There we go. Okay, so I am keeping a close eye on this. I want to see if this is going to start to tick back up. As you can see, it's slightly angled back upwards with the recent volatility, which has kicked in. But we're more or less in the same place. But we're hanging on by a knife's thread. And you can see it in this chart over here. Descending triangle, already broken through the bottom of that. That means that you should expect that it's probably going to complete the pattern, which goes all the way down to $11,800. Last week, we were not able to rally up into the bottom side of that to test that as a resistance, which would have been the ultimate shorting opportunity. So it's actually even more bearish on the high time frame that we continue to consolidate at the lows. The longer you consolidate at the lows, the higher the probability is that you continue to capitulate to the downside. So I told you this was possibly the etchings or the start of a capitulation, but the capitulation hasn't actually really happened yet. If price starts to accelerate down towards that 10K region, that would be, for me, enough of a capitulation to consider attempting to buy the dip at least. So keep an eye on that. Charlie Bellio says over here, the full US yield curve inverted this week with the 1 month treasury bill yield rising above the 30-year treasury bond yield. So that is very bad. Basically, that's bad. Usually, you don't want the short term to rise above what the 30 is. And the last 2 times that happened was in August to September of 2019, which was when recession started in March of 2020, and then August 2006 to 2007, and then the recession started in January 2008. So basically what you can deduce from this is that probably leading into next year, things may get a little bit worse. But the good thing about that is that by the time they start to announce that it's a recession, and you see the CNNs, Fox News, all the mainstream media outlets calling for ultimate doom because of recession, then you know it's probably already almost over price-wise. Prices would have probably already capitulated, and at that point, it almost becomes the best opportunity to start getting into the market. So I will be keeping an eye on this, but I covered this in a show dedicated specifically to this last week. Once you cross under that red line, pretty much that's when trouble starts to set in, but it means that we're closer to the end than not. So I want to also touch on the S&P 500 over here. I know it's looking like quite a messy chart, so I'm going to delete this just to clean it up a little bit. This line over here, we tapped that liquidity, hit in that exact area. I can clean that up now. That was an inefficiency candle that got filled, and consequently, we've just been waiting to see how price pulls back. Now, there is a possibility that price could still go higher, and I just want to prepare you for all scenarios, which is why I am mentioning this, because there's a couple of different ways that you can view this market. I'm going to delete this to make it nice and clean. I'm sure you can all see the diagonal at the top, the diagonal at the bottom, which is that expanding megaphone pattern like this, where price is kind of respecting this area and coming down. But I just want to pose one thing to you, just to open your mind for the bullish possibility. I don't believe this is going to happen, by the way, but I always look at things from multiple angles just in case. And to do that, I just want to clear some of this up, and I'll bring all of this back on another show. Okay, here we go. So let's make this bigger. 4 points over here. Now, there is a possibility that you are within a sideways range. And if you were within a sideways range, let's just take a quick look and see where does mid-range fall within this. Pretty much right where we are. So if you go here, let's just mark that off. Okay, cover that. There we go. So if you take a look at this, you are technically still stuck below mid-range, which is, of course, bearish, right? Let's make that bigger. Wait, this one. Make it red. There, I'm sure you can all see that very clearly. So you're currently stuck below mid-range over there. But if price for the S&P 500 were to have some sort of a short squeeze, because I do think shorts are quite heavily weighted at the moment, since we are coming into a resistance area, it makes sense, right? So if you see it recapture like this and hold, and you break the 200-day moving average as it's coming down, let's say that happens towards the end of the year, and you hold that level, then you can pretty much have your stops below, and then you'd be targeting back towards this zone over here, which you would then consider the range high. So I'm just showing you that just in case, because I don't want to be all fully completely bearish, even though that's the way that price currently looks. I do think that it's more likely that price will stick within this megaphone pattern over here, like this, and most likely reject from this level. But just understand, a reclaim of the 200-day moving average, which is the yellow one, would mean that you're recapturing the mid-range, and then there is a possibility that there is a range play over here, and you're now above the mid-range, and then you can go back to range high. What would that mean for Bitcoin? That would probably mean a push up, possibly even as high as about $23,000, just off the top of my head, possibly around $23,000, which would still be bearish on the high time frame, and could lead to lower prices coming into next year. So that is the S&P 500 for you, the futures chart at least. Just wanted to point that one out. Now, inverted chart work very well to help us with our bias. Pretty much made a new swing low that has been confirmed, and you would now just be waiting for any bounce which comes into the 18K level. This is your 3-day chart, so I'm talking to the investors, high time frame traders. If you see something like this come back into this level, that would be an opportunity to continue to go short. And judging by these high time frame charts, if we don't capitulate within this week and go all the way down into the main support zones, which is that 10 to 12K region, then it means that maybe it's going to be a slower bleed, a slower sell-off that might take place over the course of the next 6 months, which ties in with what Charlie Bellio says with regards to the inverted yield curve and potential recession. So 1-day charts over here, the daily chart with the moving averages, they've kept you out of a lot of trouble if you have used this. All of them are angled down, prices stuck below. Pretty much you don't want to be in the market. So high time frame, you're still out. The bear pennant that we had over here, so the bearish pennant measured move from there all the way down, takes you again into that 10 to 12K region. As you can see, we have now officially broken out to the bottom side. But you'll see now in the low time frames, there is still a chance that there could be a potential bounce. Look, these things don't always play out in the full way. So the measured move goes to 10 to 12K. It doesn't always work out like that. I'm just showing it to you because it is the most obvious and clear pattern that is out there at the moment as a chart goes. But what could potentially happen is you could find that this could still be a range. So if it doesn't break down all the way, then what may happen is price may recapture, come back into here, hit the mid-range, and then play around within this area. Maybe it even reclaims that, comes back towards the top. And basically, price could end up just oscillating within that region. So you have to open up the possibilities for anything. And that's when it comes to trading, it's all about finding your trigger. When are you going to pull the trigger? Which way? Because you can always have a bias of where you think price is going, but it's more about actionably, how are you going to actually trade that? When are you going to play it? And right now, if you are treating this as a range, risk to reward, you can see that we are pretty much at the bottom of the range, which would mean that this would be an opportunity to go long with a stop below there, targeting towards the mid-range. And then if price makes it there, TP1 and then TP2 at the top of range 2. So that is, I told you I'll give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. That is the potential bullish scenario for Bitcoin on a low time frame, this being a 1-hour chart. So clearer picture over here with actual price candles and not a line chart. First and foremost, again, of course, risk remains to the downside because we do have the EMAs all crossed down. The 50 is crossed below the 200, which is the pink one below the blue. That's a death cross in a trending move. Now you need to determine, is this going to be a trending move or is it going to be a range? Moving averages and exponential moving averages are pretty useless in a range. But if this is the start of a new trend, this would be a powerful indication that right now you want to be leaning more bearish. Price is stuck below. We've made new swing lows. However, short-term traders as a scalper, and I really hope I'm not confusing you guys. You have to understand I'm talking to so many different types of viewers. Most of you, I think, are investors, but a lot of you are also short-term traders. So this is specifically for the short-term traders. If you are wanting to take a shot at this, pretty much you have your trend line over there, higher low, higher low, higher low. Essentially, you have a simple trend line. You want to see price hold above this, and your stops would be below if you were looking to take a long. And you'd be trading the long in a range. So kind of viewing this as a range. There we go. Let's put it up around there. With your most obvious target towards the mid-range, which you can see. I haven't measured this out with the fib, but let's just say that looks like it's where the most support and resistance is. Let's grab our fib and check that out, how it lines up. See, pretty much exact 0.5, exactly where I just drew that, which is the target. So pretty much I wouldn't be holding my breath for the top at 17.8, although it is a possibility. I would definitely be raising stops if you were to go long on this, even if it made it to mid-range. And how would that look? See if you can get an entry, obviously as low as possible, but you'd be looking at something like this, a hard stop over there. So this is currently giving you a 1-to-2 ratio. You see, not really a trade I would take personally. I want higher reward than that. I want like a 1-to-4, 1-to-5. If you were going to hold it all the way up to the top there, then you're getting a decent risk to reward of a 1-to-4.4. So that would look like a decent trade. But with that being said, I think that it would be wishful thinking that you're just going to smash through this whole level. And therefore, it actually is only really a 1-to-2 risk to reward ratio, which is not gambling, but it's closer to gambling than not gambling. So make your decision on how you want to enter. Maybe if price swept a little bit lower and I could take the trade over here with invalidation there. So that would look like this. Let's just zoom in to show you what I mean. If I could get it like this, somewhere around there, and I could increase the odds, then potentially I would go long, but I'm not really in the mood to go long on this at the moment. Then that would give you a 1-to-5, but you need lower prices. You need it to sweep down below there in order to get that trade in. And I wanted to touch on this over here as well from Titan of Crypto. He says, Bitcoin liquidity update. Although there's liquidity to grab around 18.5 thousand and 17.2 thousand on Bitcoin, and there's also liquidity at 15.5 thousand. The bigger one is lower at 13.5. Now, I've mentioned to you guys so many times before, remember the big players look for liquidity. They look for stop hunts and liquidation levels where people get liquidated out of their positions if they don't have a stop, because that's how they get their big orders filled, which means that they will go for this liquidity. Just the question is, which one do they go for first? Do they go for the 18K or the 13K first? I can make the case that they'd actually go for the 18K first. That would give a little bit more upside momentum. Once again, everybody's shouting the bottoms in, and that's just enough momentum to send it back down to 13K. And if you look over here, Delta flipped on BTC. Now you have $2.5 billion in short. So the bottom line over there, that red sort of like heat map thing at the bottom, that's showing that currently there are much more shorts than there are longs. And you know what that means? That means that the liquidity lies in the opposite direction. If they send it up first, the big players, that is, when I say they, I'm talking about the big players, guys that are trading with billions of dollars, send the price up, grab that liquidity around 18K, and then you have enough momentum to send it all the way back down in a panic to 13, and then you refill. And that would look something like this. Crypto Poseidon showed it very well here. And he says, be brace. I don't know what that really means, but ready to take a shoot if it gives me the trigger. And for him, the trigger would probably be a reclaim above 16.4. And I've mentioned to you guys before, you have this side over here, consolidation, consolidation, consolidation. Manipulation is this section over here. And then you have the next move, the expansive move that takes place. And that happens both ways. So it can be over here, consolidation, consolidation, manipulation to the upside, and then expansion of the actual move to the downside. It works both ways. So it looks like because we've gone down first over here, we may have another spike up. His chart is showing around 17.2 thousand. So you can look at it again over here. Very, very simply put, here's your range. Again, long opportunity over here. So you had, let's just show you with this. So you had consolidation. Oh, is that going to work? Give me a second. I'm going to have to refresh, guys. It looks like it's stuck. I'm not going to refresh, but just look at where my cursor is. So you have consolidation around here, consolidation. Then you have manipulation back down into the range low. Recapture, if you can get back above around 16.4 back into this consolidation zone. That would open up the door where the expansive move could come all the way up towards the range high, capture the rest of the liquidity over there, and then prices go down at a later stage. So it's not all doom and gloom. There is a possibility of a small upside move, but that can happen very quickly, right? You can have the upside move and a capitulation all in the space of this week. Let's say, for example, maybe later today, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, price shoots back to the upside, and then it gets slammed down leading into the end of the week. That would still leave you with a massive red candle and a capitulation. So be prepared for anything. Okay, very, very quickly, the OKX, you can get yourself a free NFT. You actually don't even have to mint it. So before you sign off over here, just listen up for this. I need to open this up to show you in the description below. So click on the link. Let's just, very, very slow internet. Any second over here. Just give this video a like, please. I would really appreciate it. Like the video, hit the bell notification, and subscribe to the channel as well. Okay, let's just pause that. All right, so if you have a look over here at OKX, it says get your free Web3 wallet. Make sure to click on that link if you don't already have a Web3 wallet. If you click on that link, it will take you through to this page over here. And this will give you an opportunity to do a free mint. But if you don't do the free mint and you're in the first 50, so keyword, you have to be in the first 50 people. If you are in the first 50 people and you submit your wallet address, which you have to make right now, to this form, which is there's a Google form. You must put your wallet address in there. The first 50 people will get a free NFT airdrop. So keep an eye out on that. It's all around the Soccer World Cup, which has begun. I think it started, was it yesterday? Anyway, it begins, let's just say today. Formally, the Soccer World Cup does begin. I have the Germany one over here. You don't even have to pay the gas fee to mint it. If you're in the first 50, they'll send it directly into your wallet over there. And then a lot of people have been messaging me, DMing me on Twitter with regards to the Soccer World Cup trading competition where there's big prizes up for grabs. So my BITGET team is already fully booked. I unfortunately can't put any more of you in there, but I can help you out when it comes to the OKX one. I'm just waiting for them to approve me as a team leader, and then have a look out for the Banterians team. That's the name of my team, the Banterians. And I'll give you a link in which you can join that if you do wish to join. There's up to $2 million in Tether prizes available. And then I see for this NFT mint, it looks like it also works like a competition. So you want to mint the teams that you believe will win and make it through to the next round, because they kind of have like here group stages. Let me see if I can show you over here. They had such a nice graphic on this. Oh, here it is. There we go. So as you can see, if you choose the correct team and your NFT keeps making it through the rounds and you make it to the final, then there are prizes that are up for grabs for you if you make it to the final based off of the teams that you minted, which is why I guess everybody minted Brazil and Argentina first. Germany is third. I like Germany, so I minted Germany. Okay, guys, that's it. That brings us to the end. Only 400 likes. Please, I know 2,000 of you were watching. I expect this to be at 5,000 by the time I look tomorrow, 5,000 likes. And if not, I'll give you bad alpha tomorrow. Just kidding. That's it from me, guys. I will see you all on the next video. I appreciate each and every one of you. Trade safe out there. Stay tuned. Follow my Twitter. The link is also in the description below, or you can just type that in on Twitter over there. And I will keep you up to date throughout the day. I will see you all tomorrow. Cheers for now.